Hey family, what if every single week you could discover the most unique, high-quality Black-owned products and brands and support our community with every purchase that you make? What if your everyday spending became a tool for building wealth, shifting narratives, and leveling the playing field for Black people worldwide? That's exactly why I created Be Smart by Black. Now, we started out as a two-sided marketplace, but now we're taking it to a whole new level with our free weekly newsletter. Every week, we'll handpick and deliver the best Black-owned products, exclusive deals, and inspiring brand stories right to your inbox. Here's the thing. We're in pre-launch right now, and if you sign up today at besmartbyblack.com, you'll get first access to our very first editions, VIP-only discounts, and the inside track on limited drops that sell out fast. Once we launch to the public, you'll miss those early bird perks. Now, this isn't just about shopping. It's about circulating dollars in our community, creating jobs, controlling narratives, and making sure Black businesses thrive. Like I always say, there's no revolution without economics. So don't wait. Go to besmartbyblack.com, join the pre-launch list, and be a part of this movement. And don't forget to share the web link Be Smart by Black with all of your network. Welcome to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, the #1 podcast and resource for Black entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful, sustainable businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. If you're currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, you're invited to join us each and every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family and get ready to elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 587. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today's show topic is titled Letting Money Slip Through Your Fingers, a Case Study. Letting money slip through your fingers, a case study. Too many entrepreneurs are unknowingly bleeding profits and losing money that they actually should be keeping. Now, today I'm going to talk about 5 subtle mistakes that are costing entrepreneurs thousands of dollars per month and per year. Now, before we get to today's show content, let me just share a few things with the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's broadcast, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information and resource links, such as the link to my new email newsletter, besmartbyblack.com. You heard the promo at the beginning of the episode. We're connecting unique Black-owned businesses and products to Black-owned consumers. So make sure you sign up for the waiting list. Go to besmartbyblack.com. The holiday season is coming up. We want to connect all the Black product brands and Black products to Black consumers. And the easiest way to do it, guys, is go to besmartbyblack.com. Also, don't forget to take advantage of the website, guys. We have all types of content on the website to help you move your business from point A to point B. Go to blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, hit the Learn tab. There's a drop down. We have all types of content on scaling your business, strategy and mindset, e-commerce, marketing, everything you need to help elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Also, for all you first-time listeners, we drop a new episode every Monday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on all your major podcast platforms and YouTube. So wherever you're listening to this or watching it, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you'll be alerted when the new episodes drop. Now, let's get ready for today's show content. Today, we're going to discuss letting money slip through your fingers, and I'm going to give you guys 5 subtle mistakes that are costing many entrepreneurs thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And these are probably some of the things that you don't necessarily think about. So we're going to jump in, discuss and dissect some of these things that can be killing your business slowly and unknowingly. And the way this, unfortunately, the way this episode came about was I was talking to my older brother. There are three of us. I'm the youngest. I got an older brother, then my sister, then myself. And I was talking to my older brother about his practice. He's a psychologist out in Illinois, and we were just talking in general about business. Now, my brother, I've talked about this before. He is what's called a reluctant entrepreneur. So he worked for the state and the county government for years. And then when he was denied a promotion that he felt that he rightly deserved, he decided to quit and start his own business. Never really thought about doing it before, but he got fed up to the point where he said, you know what? I've been doing this long enough. I have a client base. I can do that on my own. So he reached out to me, and he started his business probably about 10, 15 years ago. And because I've been a serial entrepreneur after I left corporate America, asking for some tips. One of the biggest things where I knew he was in trouble, and before you guys say anything, I told my brother that I said, hey, man, you're going to be a case study on an episode real soon. And he started cracking up. And I'm like, yeah, man, you're laughing, but there's some things here that's going on, man, that you're really losing a lot of money. So he does know that I'm going to talk about him in this episode. He doesn't listen to the show, which you know how that goes. The people closest to you never really listen to you or whatever, because all they know, oh, that's my little brother. But anyway, long story short, he knows I told him that I'm going to use him as a case study in this episode. But so here was the conversation. He was saying, yeah, he was so inundated with work. And as a psychologist, a lot of his payments come through the insurance companies. So he has to go and submit invoices to these insurance companies to get paid for his services. So he gets upfront money, which are the copays, which people pay either cash or credit card. So he makes money that way. And then he bills the insurance companies for their sessions. Okay, so we're talking, and he was like, yeah, man, he said, I'm so busy. I don't even have time to do everything I need to do. He said, I have invoices that I haven't submitted to the insurance companies since 2023. And I'm like, huh? I said, what? 2023? I said, is there a statute of limitations? And he was like, yeah, it's usually 2 years. And I said, bruh, I said, what's wrong with you? And he was like, oh, man, I'm good, man. I'm making enough money, blah, blah, blah. I said, I get that. I said, but you've already done the work. Why not be compensated for it? Now, I love my brother to death, but when it comes to the common sense line, he's smart as hell, book-wise, nicest guy, beautiful person. But when it comes to common sense, my sister and I and my mom always say he missed that line. Because he'll just do some crazy things that just make absolutely no sense. And this is one of them. So I'm asking her, I said, well, when you got, that far behind with your billing, I said, why didn't you get somebody to help you? And he said, well, it's a whole lot. It's more than just submitting invoices. He said you have to have certain codes and you have to have diagnosis written on the actual invoices and things of that nature. And I said, I get that. I said, but that's why you need systems. You need systems in place to be able to make sure that you're doing things correctly, where you work smarter and not harder. My brother is the type that he doesn't even like to do online banking. He'll do telephone banking. Once again, we're talking about common sense here. If you're going to go and take the time to punch in all these numbers on the telephone, wouldn't it be easier to go to your bank's app and just bank like that? And instead of getting direct deposits or ACH payments from the insurance company, he likes to get his checks in the mail. I said, my God, this guy is archaic when it comes to business. And everything I'm saying to you is nothing I haven't said to him in person. So, I don't want to offend anybody like I'm talking behind his back, but everything I'm saying right now, I've said it more emphatically and a little more colorful to him in person. So, and he just shrugs it off. Hey, I know, but I'm making money and I'm fine. And I said to myself, I said, bruh, I'm going to have to use you on the show and do a case study of what not to do. So if you're doing all the work and you're letting tens, not thousands, I'm talking about tens of thousands of dollars a month slip through your fingers because you're not working at maximum efficiency, there's something wrong here. The elevator's not going to the top or the light bulb isn't going off. I don't understand that. You've already done the work. I said, why don't you hire somebody? I went online. I said, there are companies that actually do invoices for single person psychologists that don't have the manpower to actually do all of the invoice work. And they actually charge you a percentage of what you bill. So I said, why don't you take all your old invoices? And I gave them 3 different companies. I literally, while I was on the phone with them, started talking to them and researching some of these invoice preparation companies for psychologists. And he was like, oh, that's going to take too much. They cost too much money. I said, bruh, it costs too much money to let those invoices expire. I said, what are you thinking about? And so we went back and forth. And I know my brother, he's stubborn as all get out. And I said, you know what? If you don't care, I guess I don't care. It just highlighted to me some of the issues and problems that we as entrepreneurs have because we're letting money slip literally through our fingers, especially if you've already done the work and now you're not getting fully paid for it. Yes, you may have gotten the copay, which may be $25, $30, $50, $75 or whatever. That's great, but you're still missing out on a couple, $200, $300, $400, $500 per session because you don't have systems in place to do the paperwork. So let's talk about 5 subtle mistakes that are costing entrepreneurs thousands, tens of thousands, or whatever. It all depends on your industry. Number 1, not tracking hidden expenses. Not tracking hidden expenses. So here's the leak. You have small recurring costs like subscriptions, unused software, unnecessary services, stuff like that. They actually pile up. And many entrepreneurs forget about them because the amount seems insignificant when you look at it individually. Now, I started using years ago for my personal finances. I use Quicken, and obviously for my businesses, I use QuickBooks, and that charts and tracks every little thing that you spend. I had a conversation with my oldest daughter about a week ago, and I was just talking about finances. And because she had just gotten married, she and her husband, and they're about to see a financial advisor. And I said, you don't realize how much money you spend just in an average day. And I gave her an example back in the day when I was a stockbroker at Merrill Lynch. I said, my normal day, I would get up early. I buy 3 newspapers, Philadelphia Daily News for the sports, USA Today, and the Wall Street Journal. I would buy those newspapers. I would go to one of my 3 favorite spots for breakfast. I'd eat breakfast and I'd go out and eat lunch, and then I'd come home. But on average, and this is back in the 90s, I may be spending about $50 a day just for breakfast, lunch, newspapers, not even counting my gas for travel and all of that stuff. And I said, by the time that added up, not $50. Yeah, it might be 50. Yeah, it's probably about $1,000 a month that I spent, just eating breakfast and lunch and buying newspapers. Now, once again, that didn't even count gas. So there's a lot of different things or expenses that we have that we're not even taking advantage of, that we don't even need to have. So let's talk about some of the fixes. So you want to run a monthly expense audit. And that's what I did with QuickBooks, or what I do with QuickBooks. I've started to trim down a whole lot of stuff, guys. I've cut down on my software. I've cut down on my subscriptions to all types of things because I found that I don't use them. Okay. So you want to run a monthly audit expense. Also, you want to use a simple spreadsheet or apps like Mint or Truebill to flag unused charges. So those are two good apps right there. Also, you want to apply an ROI or cancel rule. And what that is if it's not generating or saving money, cut it out. If it's not generating you money or saving you money, cut it out. So subtle mistake number 1, not tracking hidden expenses. Mistake number 2, underpriced products or services. So many times the leak is the fear of losing customers keeps your prices low and you're leaving thousands of dollars on the table. So pricing your products and services. If you're the lowest price out there, it's a race to the bottom. You have to have value, okay? If you have perceived value, that means you can increase your prices. So let's look at the fix. So number 1, you want to benchmark against your industry standards. So if the industry standard for a psychology consultation is $250 an hour, I'm just making this up, I have no idea, and you're only charging $100 an hour, guess what? Then you're not close to the industry standards. And a lot of times low prices denote low quality. So when you buy a pair of shoes, if you buy a pair of $20 Payless shoes, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you're into and that's what you're looking for, versus you buy a $250 pair of men's dress shoes, you're going to think that the quality of the $250 pair is better than the $20 pair, right? So you want to benchmark against the industry. Another quick fix is introduce value-based pricing instead of cost-plus pricing. And value-based pricing basically is the more value you give, the more money you charge, the bigger your price. So, for example, if you were a tax accountant and you help people that had overdue tax bills, and you hear these commercials on the radio all the time, right? So if you owe $30,000 in back taxes, what'll happen is that a lot of times these tax services will charge you a percentage of the money that they save you. Okay, so if they save you $15,000, they may charge you $5,000. So now, as opposed to having a $30,000 tax delinquency, you only have a $15,000 tax delinquency. So once again, the bigger the value, the bigger the price that you can charge. And another quick fix for the underpriced products or services, try tiered offers. And I talk about this all the time when it comes to the psychology of your customers. So many times in a lot of my offers, I'll have 3 tiers. I'll have low, mid, and high. And psychologically, most people are not going to pick the lowest one based on how what value you provide. And most people will not pick the highest one because they don't want to spend the most money. Most people, on average, will pick the one in the middle. So whatever you want to get for that product or service, make that middle price the one. So, for example, your low tier offer is going to be almost a no-brainer because you don't even want to sell that. That low tier offer may be a $47 cheat sheet, right? Nobody's really going to pay that for a cheat sheet. Now, your mid-tier offer may be a $297 online course. That's really what you want to sell, and it has all types of value included. And then your higher end may be a $997 consultation or work with me one-on-one. So where we do it for you or we help you do it. And so many times, whatever the psychology behind it is, most people will pick the one in the middle. They're not going to pick the lowest and they're not going to pick the highest. So whatever you want to sell the most, make that your middle offer, okay? And don't do more than 3 options. A confused mind doesn't make sales. They don't make decisions, okay? Low, medium, and high. All right, so what we're talking about today, guys, is letting money slip through your fingers, a case study. We're talking about 5 subtle mistakes that are costing entrepreneurs thousands of dollars. We talked, number 1, about not tracking hidden expenses. We just talked about underpricing your products or services. Number 3 is a weak follow-up on leads. So this is near and dear to my heart. So I have multiple companies, and one of them is a lead generation company. So here's the leak, right? Entrepreneurs spend money, resources, and time on marketing, but they let warm leads grow cold because of poor follow-up. Now, the average, guys, is most sales happen after 5+ touches, but many stop after 1 or 2 touches. Now, I have a program where I have a 20+ email follow-up system that is a system that I developed over the years that has strategically increased my sales and revenues over 75%. And it's 20 touch points. It's 20 email automation system. 20 email autoresponders. And I'm telling you guys, at first I thought it was overkill, but I started reading something and I'm like, there's not, it's an information deficit that usually causes people not to buy. They don't have enough information to make an informed decision. So when you send out a strategic 20 email sequence where you're showing proof of concept, you're showing what other people have done, you're showing the offer, it's a whole system. If you want to get information on the system, guys, just shoot me an email at jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com and I'll give you the framework of that. But you need to have a great follow-up system. So here's some of the quick fixes. Number 1, automate with at least a 5 to 7 email follow-up sequence using software such as ConvertKit, which is now Kit, which I use. You got ActiveCampaign, you have MailChimp, you have all types of different software to follow up with prospective customers. The other thing you can do, you can use retargeting ads to stay in front of warm leads. So for example, if you do Facebook leads or or you're generating leads on Facebook, you can create a Pixel or Google where you can retarget those leads after somebody goes and say they go on your website. So you want to use retargeting. And also one of the biggest things is too, guys, I talk about this all the time, is you need to track your leads in your CRM, your database. So you want to make sure that no opportunity slips away. If you're not building your database, you're not in business. I'm not going to get into this today, but your database is the biggest asset you have for any business. When Borders went out of business, Borders Bookstore, Barnes and Nobles didn't buy their inventory. They didn't buy their brick and mortar stores. They actually bought their database out of bankruptcy. That is where your money is. The money is in the data. So that's number 3. Number 4, and we're talking about 5 subtle mistakes costing entrepreneurs thousands. Ignoring upsells and cross sells. Ignoring upsells and cross sells. So focus only on the initial sale. This is the leak. Most people focus only on the initial sale instead of maximizing customers' lifetime value. So let's look at some of the fixes. Number 1, create a post-purchase upsell. Just like when you go to McDonald's, would you like fries with that? But you do it for your business. When you go to Walmart or any supermarket, you see all the candy and the knickknacks as you check out. That's an impulse purchase. That's an upsell for you. Oh yeah, I need some gum. Let me grab a pack of gum here and a Hershey bar, whatever. So create post-purchase upsells. That's one fix. So just for example, some of my upsells, if I do a workshop, which costs X amount of dollars, an upsell to that would be a one-on-one implementation call where now you can implement what you learned in the workshop. So that's an actual upsell. Okay. So number 2, you want to look at or bundling related products or services. So a lot of times I'll bundle my workbook with the workshop and an online course. So you're bundling related products or services. So that is an upsell, something that makes sense together. You have to have some continuity there. So if you're coming to the workshop, you're probably going to want to get a workbook And you probably want to be able to use my online course for that workshop to help implement what you learned. Another thing is to introduce a continuity program. It could be a membership, a retainer, or a subscription. And you can do retainers in, physical product businesses and service businesses. So how many of you have gone to the store and you're buying electronics and they want to sell you a warranty, extra warranty, right? That's really a retainer. So that's an extra money added on. So that could be continuity. A membership program. A thing that's real big right now is communities. People are building communities and they're charging a monthly membership to be inside the community. So that is number 4, ignoring upsells and cross sells. So that's definitely something you want to be interested in. Number 5, last but not least, and this is something big, guys, not negotiating vendor or supplier costs. Not negotiating your vendor or supplier costs. Your vendors or suppliers are people that you do business with. So for my mortgage business, I have a credit report vendor where I use to get all the credit reports for my prospective clients. I actually negotiated a lower rate with them based on the volume that I do. So here's the leak. Paying retail or standard rates for vendors, contractors, or suppliers without questioning them, without trying to see if there's a way to get lower rates. So here's some of the fixes. Number 1, negotiate bulk or loyalty discounts. That's what I did with the volume I'm doing with my mortgage business. I created or went to another tier where now my credit reports, my tri-merge credit reports don't cost $92 now. They're down to $85. Doesn't sound like a lot, but over time, you're saving money. Another thing is you want to shop your competitors at least once a year. So I'll go back and look at other credit report vendors, in the mortgage space to see, hey, are they a similar product? Am I getting a better price? And you're trying to create value there. And the last thing is ask vendors for an early pay discount if you have cash flow flexibility. So you may have vendors that say, net 5, right? 30 days net 5. If you pay within X period of time, they'll take X amount of dollars off because they're concerned about their cash flow also. So these are 5 different ways that you guys can plug some of those leaks and not let money slip through your fingers. Now, before we get to the last segment of the show real quick, let me just share a few things with the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family. I'm going to give you all my contact information and resource links, such as the link to the free newsletter, besmartbyblack.com. Make sure you go to that. Also, make sure you go to the website, blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, to get all your free resources to help you elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Now, anything long, guys, if you want to connect with me, hit me on my email, jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. That's JAYJONES at blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. Facebook, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Instagram, I have 3 IG accounts now. First one is J Jones for real, JAYJONES, the number 4, REAL. Second one is Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. And the third one is Be Smart by Black at Instagram. Be Smart by Black. BUY, not BY. Be Smart by Black. LinkedIn, connect with me there. Just go to LinkedIn, type in J Jones, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Also, Twitter or X now, it's J Jones 001, JAYJONES 001. And YouTube. So make sure you go to YouTube, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, hit that subscribe button. All the content that we have on YouTube is a little bit different, guys, than just the podcast. So the podcast is on YouTube, but we have additional content on YouTube also. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Now, let's get back to the last segment of the show. So here's the big takeaway on today's show, guys. Basically, you want to work smarter and not harder. You're already doing the work. You're already expending the money and resources to generate leads, to build your business, to get prospects that you hope to convert into clients, right? So you're doing all of that, but you have to work smarter. I gave you the case study of my brother. He does well in making money, but he's letting money slip through his fingers, which to me is ridiculous. And all it takes, it's going to take a lot of work, because you got 2 years behind on invoices. And not that he's still working on 2023, but what he basically told me is the harder invoices where he has to do more work, he'll put them to the side, that's why he has a backlog. And he just decides not to hire somebody, be it an individual or a company, to help him catch up. So that's not working smart. That's working backwards. You're hustling backwards. All right. You're leaving thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on the table for work you've already done. Okay. So you want to work smarter. You also, just to give you a recap, number one, track your hidden expenses. There's probably a lot of fat that you can cut off that's going to increase your bottom line. Number two, are your prices and products underpriced, or your services and products underpriced? Make sure you look at the market and understand, are you where your pricing should be? Remember, the perception is lower price, lower quality, higher price, higher quality. Okay, so don't forget that. Number three, weak follow up on leads. I talk about lead generation systems all day, every day. If you don't have a lead generation system and a follow up system, you shouldn't even be in business. That's real talk right there. Number four, ignoring upsells and cross sells. It just makes sense. Would you like fries with that? You already got them as a customer. Why not increase your average order value? And last but not least, number five, negotiating vendor and supplier costs. If you're dealing with a vendor and you have a good track record with that vendor or supplier, see if you can get a break on your pricing. If you can get a lower price, if you can get better terms, lower interest rates, whatever it may be. All of this, guys, adds up, and you won't have all this money slipping through your fingers. Now, I say this each and every week, family, because it's true. We get more and more downloads because of you, the BEB family. I appreciate you guys so much. Please continue to spread the word about the podcast. BeSmartByBlack.com, the online courses, the books, the whole ecosystem to help you elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Remember, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us. It's about building an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.